in our hand. We need to win the game, we need to climb up, and then we need to top 4.
And Balestier have yet to win at Bishan this season. Does that give you extra pressure going to today's game?
I mean, this is no pressure. It's just go. This is game, you know. We need to go there and perform. Outcome will come, you know. First we need to process how to win the game. I think it's time to have first win in the Bishan.
Okay, Coach, the last time you guys met, Geylang lost 3-2. What have you learned from that result, and will you be making any changes to your approach today?
Definitely, man. I think we have to be more cautious with the Balestier attack, you know, especially their counter attacks and their set pieces. They're very strong with that, you know, with Zuzul, Hoshino, and even Christian. So I think that's something that I think last game after leading 1-0 and we lost the game 3-2, I think we have to approach the game a bit differently.
And Geylang are 4 points away from clinching an AFC Cup qualification. What have you told your players to ensure that they maintain focus on the task at hand?
I think we got 3 more games to play. I think they know what's the situation right now. I think AFC sport is very important for the club at this point of time, you know, and I think we just got to take one game at a time. You know, I think let's take on Balestier today and focus on getting the 3 points first.
Well, the AFC spots are the talk of Singapore football at the moment, as well as the league title race and those 2 precious AFC Cup slots that will go, one assumes, to one of either Tampines or the Lion City Sailors, whoever misses out on Champions League football, and you'd imagine one of Geylang or Balestier, unless Hougang can perform miracles with their current crisis, having lost their 2 foreign imports. So we are going to have an exciting final 3 games of the season, and that excitement starts right here. Saturday night, AIA, Singapore Premier League football, coming from Bishan. It's the Tigers against the Eagles. I hope you're watching it live at home on Singtel, StarHub through Singapore. You can catch it on the AIA Singapore Premier League social media channels and on OnePlay Sports as well. And it's a return to the middle for the referee Zulfikar Mustafa, who you may remember is responsible for that controversial penalty awarded to the Young Lions against Hougang a couple of weeks ago. Let's hope they all have a good game. So we're set for battle then. Balestier Khalsa looking for their first win after 5 winless matches. And Geylang International, can they bounce back? They look very tired in the latter stages against the Lion City Sailors. They worked so hard to keep them out for 70 minutes, and when 1 goal went in, 2 quickly followed. But they were competitive. One thing they didn't do against the Sailors was create too many goal-scoring opportunities. And we'll check in with their change in the starting lineup. There are 3 of them in just a couple of moments. Here are Balestier, Khalsa. No Bruno, unfortunately. I was speaking to Marko Krajovic early. He obviously picked up that injury when he scored a goal earlier in the season. And he hasn't been risked since then. And obviously with only 3 games to go, I think it might change if they were to pick up 2 wins in the next 2 matches. But I think the decision's been made not to risk him. We saw what happened to Stipe Plazibat, used off the bench for the Sailors in midweek. So led out by their skipper, Zaiful Nizam. The Tigers are ready for battle. Let's see. The Eagles arrive now in their traditional green and white. They look pumped for this, and Nur Ali's done a great job rallying them to challenge for AFC football. Yuichi Ichikawa, one of the longest-serving foreign imports ever, to grace the Singapore Premier League, leads them out. There's Barry Maguire, who was a driving force in their last win against Hougang a week ago. Couple of changes, incidentally, for Geylang as well. 3 of them. Ferdhouse back from suspension. Zikos Chua given a chance up front. We'll check in with the team sheets in just a minute. A reminder as well, there's a game kicking off simultaneously to this at the Hougang Stadium. Hougang against Tanjung Pagar United. And all of a sudden, with no Charlie Michael and Zach Anderson who've departed, Tanjung Pagar United might fancy their chances for the first win of the season. They drew here 2-2 in midweek. And all the credit in the world to the coaching team at Tanjung Pagar United in very difficult circumstances. They have far from disgraced themselves, even though they currently sit bottom of the table. But we concern ourselves with the battle for an AFC Cup place here this afternoon. Balestier realistically have to pick up the 3 points to still be in the hunt, although they mathematically need 4. If they pick up 3 here, it's going to take something rather special to stop Geylang appearing in AFC football next season. 2 changes for Balestier. Zuzu back in the starting lineup, having started from the bench in midweek. Gay Samir comes in as well. They're the only 2 changes to the starting lineup. And number 81, Ryan Selvin. It's his first appearance on the bench for the 19-year-old today. We'll keep an eye out for him if he should get a look in later. And I don't think there's any goals on that Balestier bench. There's plenty of goals on the Geylang International bench. 6, in fact. 1 for Amy, 1 for Faris, 2 for Iqbal, and 2 for Van Heusen. Their starting lineup features 3 changes to the team beaten by the Sailors. Cairo Nizam is back fit, which is a huge boost for the Eagles. Ferdhouse, as mentioned, back from suspension. And Zikos Chua, who came off the bench to play against the Sailors in midweek, he gets a starting slot for Noor Ali here this afternoon. So the final pre-match huddles are being made. The Eagles seem pumped up for this. Balestier Khalsa. Marko Krajovic has got a habit of getting results for them, and you can see the captain Zaiful Nizam with his last gasp team instructions, and their last victory will be fresh in their minds today, even though it was 6 games back, because it was facing the green and white Eagles at our Tampines sub. They trailed 1-0 in that one, then raced in the second half to a 3-1 lead before Barry Maguire scored a very late consolation for the Eagles. 4-3 this one, the corresponding game last season. Are we set for another goal fest here tonight at Bishan? You'll find out with us live, and I hope you're safe and well wherever around the world you are watching. There is Marko Krajovic, just having a chat with him earlier. He's already trying to make plans for next season, as ever. In these uncertain times, who knows what's going to happen with the world at large, never mind the AIA Singapore Premier League. But the Football Association of Singapore and the Singapore Premier League doing a great job to get this season completed, bearing in mind the top place Singapore team do get an AFC Champions League place. It would have been such a shame if that wasn't to be the case. Ultras Eagles, Noor Ali's got the fan base t-shirt on. The Ultras Eagles battling it out with the Hougang Halls for fans of the season, although the Hougang Halls have been a little bit nasty to referees of late. They've gone down in my estimations. I love you really, Halls. We're underway shortly. Geylang in the green and white playing from left to right. Khalsa in the red playing from right to left. Barry Maguire gets us underway. Here is Maguire. Oh, lovely ball through. Darren Tate, as always, menacing down the right-hand side, and an early dangerous cross up in the air. Headed clear by Ara Arvin. And Balestier now can launch these counter-attacks that Noor Ali was talking about in his pre-match interview. Here's Zuzu. Haswan waits in the middle. If Zuzu can get the cross in, he pulled it back, looking for Zulfaimi. Couldn't quite find him. And Geylang survived the first Balestier Khalsa probe forward. Just confirm for you that they are not yet underway at Hougang. I'm sure they'll be underway there shortly. We'll keep you up to date with the scores and the goals as they go in at the Hougang Stadium. Ball's back with Hyrule between the sticks for Geylang. Barry Maguire didn't find its target. Haswan. Oh, that's nice skills from Barry Maguire. Done well to work the space. Can he find the pass? He can. Cairo Nizam was the target of that pass, but Zikos Chua unable to find him. Interesting to see how the Zikos Chua and Cairo Nizam partnership works out tonight. They haven't had too many opportunities to play together from the start this season. It's not the best clearance in the world from Zaiful, but well worked out from Arish Kumar. And over the top, Zuzu is running. They've got Zulfaimi there as well, but the giant figure of Adam Hakim gets it away. That's deflected, and Hyrule will come together. Darren Tate, like Adam Hakim, been really impressed with him in recent weeks. Cairo Nizam, Darren Tate. Touch for Ferdhouse Kasman, back from suspension. Not back from suspension yet is Hadley Camis, who picked up that red card in the 2-1 defeat to the Young Lions 2 match days back. Bit of time and space to operate now for Ahmad Shahir, and it's out for a throw. Can confirm they are underway at Hougang. Long throw by Krychek. Gets some trajectory on that, doesn't he? just didn't get the flick on that he wanted. Now all of a sudden Zikos Chua's got something to try and chase down. Put some pressure on Danish at the back. Danish not convincing with the clearance initially, and Zikos Chua's hustling here, putting Danish under all kinds of pressure. He gets it back to Zaiful, who slips on approaching the ball and just punts it out for a throw-in. So that's a preview of what will become an ongoing battle between Zikos Chua and Danish in this game. Zikos Chua able to come away with it from the throw, and that's one for Ichikawa to try and get there before Zuzu does, and Ichikawa with a bad step. Zuzu past the keeper, and that was good hustle in the end from Hyrule, because Ichikawa, that's a very rare mistake from him. They were fortunate that it was wide left of the goal, because at a better angle he might have struck this first time. In fact, I think even at that angle Zuzu probably wishes now he'd had a poke at goal, because Hyrule was stranded, trying to get it back onto his right foot to pass it into the net, but it was a very difficult finish that he attempted there. So first set piece opportunity of the game. It comes to the Tigers without a home win this season, without a win in the last 5 games. Goes deep and up and over and a waste. It's out for a goal kick. Oh, that's a terrible clearance. It's gone straight to Krajcek. And I think Zuzu was coming back from an offside position there, but not the best from Hyrule early. And his defence, as you can see, this Bishan surface has seen plenty of football in recent weeks. And under the circumstances, as I said last time I was here a week ago, I have to congratulate the ground staff for holding it together as well as they have. But it is starting to cut up badly, and it's got to see more action yet over the next week before we bring the curtain down on the season a week today. Every club's going to play 3 games between now and next Saturday. We'll crown our champions and know who's representing Singapore in AFC Cup and Champions League competition next season. Do you get the feeling at least one of those races is going to go right down to the final whistle next Saturday? Really can't wait for that climax. Bright start this from Balestier. They were very slow out the gate when these teams met at our Tampines hub, which was back at the end of October. Is he onside here? Zulfaimi, he is. Zulfaimi takes the deflection and no messing around from Ichikawa, belts it out for a throw. Samir over to take it. We saw Kiki Krajcek get a good trajectory on a long throw earlier. Referee Zulfikar just wants to chat with Adam Hakim, and Kiki, God, Zuzu, he's having a set to it. Look at Adam Hakim even towers over Zuzu. That takes some doing. Okay, Samir to Zuzu. Back to Samir. And he'd want that one back. It's out for a goal kick again. But it's Khalsa putting the pressure on early. A reminder of the games that are still to come this season as we build up to that big crescendo next Saturday. Obviously, here we are today with Balestier, Khalsa, Geylang and Hougang Tanjung United. Tomorrow, Albrecht, Tampines, arguably the game of the season so far. 5:30 tomorrow, kickoff from Jurong East, Singapore time. The Sailors visit the Young Lions. So 2 games in Jurong tomorrow, 1 at Jurong East, 1 at Jurong West. And then in midweek on Wednesday, Albrecht, Tanjung United. They're the kind of team that you don't want to play Tanjung United. I know it sounds silly bearing in mind the bottom of the table. Is Barry Maguire on side here? No, he's not. I think the assistant referee was waiting to see if Maguire interfered with play. The replay will be interesting. But Barry Maguire, I think the smile tells you all you need to know. Yeah, he was offside, wasn't he? 3 of them were. Yes, because Albrecht Nagata, when they played Tanjung earlier in the season, 2-2 draw that game. It was an absolute belter. That was the game that poor old Lewis Jr. got injured in just before COVID-19 struck. He's obviously now back, so he'll be looking to torment Albrecht. And I just wonder whether he could be the man, Lewis Jr. of Tanjung to provide a final twist in the title race. Also on Wednesday night, Geylang United against Balestier Khalsa, and the Sailors take on Tampines. Back-to-back cup finals for Tampines. The reality is, they win those 2 games, Tampines, and they probably will be champions. Certainly, if they beat Albrechts, they've still got a big shot. If they lose that game, you'd have to think the game is up. Headed away by Hakeem. Darren Tater in the time has run to perfection, just couldn't get the ball to him quickly enough. And that pass is misplaced. Referee and the 4th official want the throw-in taken from the correct position on the pitch, so they'll send it back. Throw-in taken by Ahmed Shahir. Aravin back to Zaiful. Gets plenty of distance on that clearance, but Ishikawa wins the head, which finds Darren Tay. Barry Maguire back to Darren Tay. There are 2 green shirts forward, Zikos Chua and Karan Islam looking to affect the action. Ball comes out to Ferdhouse. Hoshino playing very deep today. He's almost playing in midfield, Shuhei Hoshino. Again, a little bit of improvisation from Zaiful. Or Hyrule, I should say, not the most convincing. It's over the top looking for Khairul Nizam. And Khairul Nizam gets the flick on, but of course, he's the front man. There's no one to flick it on to once he's getting the head to it from a break that quick. Here is Zaiful. 2 real stalwarts in goal for the 2 clubs today. And Zaiful Nizam captaining Balestier Khalsa, and Hyrule Shahan. Sends the goal kick long, got that header unopposed. Did Haswan Halim, or Zulfaimi it was over on that far side. Adam Hakeem passes it straight to Arish Kumar. Haswan Halim now gets it to Kiki Krychek, and that's actually a smart save in the end from Hyrule. First shot of the game, it's on target, and Hyrule had to get down because with the surface and the condition it's in, that was not exactly difficult, but it wasn't routine. Nice work from Zuzu. Krychek just needed a bit more power and direction on it, and it may well have been 1-0 Balestier Khalsa. Ferdhouse belted away by the big frame. Of the Geylang defence. Now, referee wants another chat here. Referee Zulfikar. Ishikawa anticipated that well. They've got to be careful of the bounce here. Dealing with it well enough in the end was Danish. Over the top by Hoshino, and they're onside here. Zulfaimi may be in business. Haswan Halim and Zuzu in the middle. It comes back to Gay Samir. His first cross was dreadful. His second one is much better. Over Zuzu. Might come to Haswan. Has to take a touch. Can't hit it first time. Zuzu passes it to Hoshino. Good save, Hyrule. Nice football this for Balestier Khalsa in the opening quarter of an hour. And Geylang at the moment playing like they played in the last quarter of an hour against the Lion City Sailors on Wednesday night. Lovely pass this from Zuzu. Right through the legs of Ferdhouse Kazman. And Hoshino's effort well saved by Hyrule. Headed away by Sharin. Unconvincing with their clearances at the moment, Geylang. Here is Khairul Nizam trying to burst down the left-hand side, but that's a solid challenge from Aravin. Referee wants a chat with Aravin. Now, what's this about? Did he gesture down to his shorts? Well, he's being told. I wonder whether he's being told to go and change his shorts. Did the number 1 fall off his shorts, I wonder? Don't get me started on numbers on shorts, folks, but it was a very strange one. That I'll try and find out. Oh, the black tights, that's what it is. So many thanks indeed to Jigan, one of the top production team here, for relaying the message up from our world-class floor manager down at ground level, the wonderful Naz. And it was because of the black tights. And of course, an interesting story about that. The players now have to wear tights the same colour as their shorts. And that is actually, would you believe, the reason why Tampines Rovers now don't play in yellow, because the players were having a terrible time finding yellow tights. And you can see now, my word, he's like Superman, Ara Arvin. How did he get changed that quickly? He had the shorts down and the tights off in record time. Allowed to come back on, so Balestier not made to suffer the consequence, but the players do know the rules on those tights and the guidelines. I thought for a minute one of the numbers on his shorts may have fallen off, but it wasn't that. So there he is. We get to see Ara Arvin's legs in all their majestic glory now without the tights obscuring our view. Balestier, no question, having the better of this. It's still goalless at the Hougang Stadium. Cheetahs 0, Jaguars 0. There's an injury over on that far side, which will be a concern early on, and it's Harith Kanadi that's gone down, and he was in the wars in midweek as well. That doesn't look to me like the kind of injury that's going to be fixed by the magic sponge. Looks to me like he's had a muscle tear. And I was chatting again with Marko Krajic early, and it's quite clear the players are struggling somewhat with this packed schedule, as they may well do, because they're just not used to it. I know people will say, well, in the top European leagues and in other parts of the world, they cope with it quite well. Is he going to be okay here? Let's hope so, Harith Kanadi. I think that was the thumbs up from the physiotherapist. Magic spray on the ankle, and he'll probably be okay. Gay Samir with the throw. Hoshino wants it. But they're playing against 10 men here, so they need to be moving this quite quickly. Where are the runners for Gay Samir? Haswan Halim is one. Ichikawa is there, and Gay Samir ricochets it off Barry Maguire's backside out for a throw. Well, no indication so far that we're going to get a repeat of the 4-3 thriller from last season that featured 2 late injury time goals. These two teams have made a habit of coming from behind against each other. Oh, my word, Adam Hakeem. That was a wild slice. Could have gone anywhere. As it is, it has given Balestier Khalsa their second corner. Let's hope the second one is better than the first. Trotting over to take it, Haswan Halim. 2 goals for Haswan this season. Some big units coming up from the back for this. Keep an eye on Ara Arvin. He's sneaking into the frame. Hoshino's there. Zuzu's there. They've got some big men to play with at set pieces. The 2 shortest players on the pitch have gone back to hold the defensive line. Should Geylang try and counter-attack quickly? And as Ara Arvin snuck in, there was a little push in the back there that the referee Zulfikar saw, and it's a free kick to Geylang. Well, didn't look too much in that, but the defenders do get those decisions, don't they, more often than not. High roll to clear for Geylang. Kaiwanism with a flick on. Out for a throw. Amateur here's over to take. Looking for Zuzu, doesn't reach him. Ichikawa over the top. Karanizov's in an offside position there, so that will go harmlessly through to Zaiful. We still await the afternoon's first AIA Singapore Premier League goal. Goalless at Hougang, goalless here. Hoshino, back to Gay Samir. Gay Samir down the line, not going to be able to keep that in, Zulfimi. But they're bossing it early, Balestier, they're having the better of it, there's no doubt about that. Just shy of 60% possession for the Tigers. And I wonder if Geylang are starting to feel the effects of how hard they had to work against the Lion City Sailors at our Tampines hub on Wednesday night. There's a touch for Umar Akbar, haven't mentioned him yet. Oh, they've won that well. Counter-attack could be on here. Darren Tay wants it to the right. Khairul Nizam looks for the option, which is Barry Maguire down the left. He should be able to keep this in, the Dutchman, and does. Barry Maguire pulls it back. There are plenty of green shirts forward if the cross is good. And they just about get it clear, but only as far as the edge of the area. And it's picked up again by Khairul Nizam. Best spell for Geylang to this point. Gay Samir gets the head there, but it's going to drop straight down to the feet of Barry Maguire. Barry Maguire against Gay Samir. And the youngster does well and comes up with a throw for Balestier Khalsa. Krycek on the turn. Was looking for Zuzu. Krycek wins it back well. He eventually does find Zuzu, who contrives to give it straight back to Geylang. Ball's not travelling very quickly on the ground, is it, in these conditions? So back passes need to be taken care of. We've already seen Ichikawa nearly make a fatal slip up. Karanizam. Free kick won by he for Geylang. Chance for the launch one into the area. A reminder, we'll have a hydration break midway through each half. We're only about 6 minutes away, probably less from the first one. Referees do a good job of taking it at an opportune moment. Not in Geylang's case though, because of course they had to take it immediately after the Sailors had got in front on Wednesday night. Darren Tayer's over this. What can he do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green shirts up for it. Make that 7 with the arriving Firdaus Kazman. Darren Tay drifts it in. Green heads on it! And it counts as an effort on target, but Zeifel gathered it quite comfortably. Barry Maguire scored with his head, of course, last weekend against Hougang. And Darren Tay was clearly trying to pick the Dutchman out again there. Just didn't get enough power direction to trouble Zeifel on this occasion. Here's Sharin. Just starting to come into it now again, Geylang, and Barry Maguire's onside. No, he's not offside. That was close, that one. Zeifel takes the free kick just outside the area. No messing around with short clearances for he. They're going to try and launch this over halfway. Hoshino's up for this, but up better and faster is Shahin. Here's Gay Samir. Tries to get it to Krycek. Doesn't quite manage it, but well mopped up by Arish Kumar. Over the top looking for Hazwan. If they get something on this, Hazwan could have been in business. As it is, Hoshino can spread it out to the right-hand side, and Zulfaimi, who's going to be beaten by that bounce. Geylang looking for an option over on that far side with Harith Kanadi. Okay, Samir gets it out for another throw. Yeah, a little bit stop-start at the minute, this. Game hasn't really caught fire. Balestier having the better of it, but Geylang coming back into it in the last 5 minutes or so. Remaining games left for these two teams after today, of course. It's just 2 games to go. Balestier finish off with a trip to Hougang in midweek, and then a home game here. Technically a home game for both of them, but by the letter of the law, a home game for Balestier Khalsa against the Lion City Sailors next Saturday. As for Geylang, their remaining 2 games, Young Lions, and they finish with the East Coast derby against Tampines. A game Tampines might need to win the title. How's that for a derby? Decent cross. Headed away by Danish. Headed back in by Zikos. Headed away by Gay Samir. Play it into Firdaus. This is without question the best spell in the game that Geylang have had as we're rapidly approaching the halfway mark in the first half. Hazwan over the top, looking for Kiki Krycek, and he's away at the races, trying to play in Zuzu, and Zuzu's onside, he's through! No, the flag went up late. Zuzu buries it, it won't count. Again, the replay will be interesting here. It did look like he performed miracles, because he's the kind of player when you watch him, he looks a bit lumbering, he doesn't look the fastest. And I have to say, I think the assistant referee has got that spot on. Again, by the letter of the law, if that goes to VAR, I think he's being pinged for offside. Just. Not much in it, but just. It's a warning, though. He buried the finish beautifully before he realised he'd been pinged for offside. We have got the first AIA Singapore Premier League goal of the day, and would you believe it's come at Hougang, and it's come to Tanjung Pagar United. The Jaguars looking for their first win of the season, lead at Hougang by 1-0. They're midway through the first half there. Our Tanjung Pagar United against Hougang are in a bit of a crisis, having lost their foreign players. The Tanjung Pagar United get a cause of shock there this afternoon. Remember, they came from behind twice here in midweek to get a 2-2 draw at Balestier. Hoshino, Geylang, Zulfaimi. Zulfaimi, a bit too cute. They're trying to get it through to Geylang again. Oh, they've worked that well. Carwin is just unable to get on the end of it. Confirmation of that Tanjung Pagar United goal scorer for you in just a minute, but that gives me an excuse to bring out my favourite pastime, because as things stand, if this was to stay a 0-0 draw, Geylang would stay 4th, Balestier would stay 5th. If it was to stay as it is at Hougang, Tanjung Pagar would leapfrog the Young Lions and go 2 points clear of the wooden spoon slot. But if Hougang were to come back and win that game and Balestier were to lose here, there is a potential for Hougang to leapfrog into 5th. Best outcome for Hougang would really be a draw here. Here's Zuzu. Nearly got it back through to Kiki Krychek. Darren Tay, another of these Eagles that's impressed this season. And that's a free kick. He's played the ball but gone through on the man. And I hope Darren Tay's not asking for a card. That's very unbecoming. A foul, yes. Even though he played the ball. A card, I don't think so. Nevertheless, Armature here will have to be a little bit careful from here on in. Play back to Hyrule. Next time the ball goes out of play, I'd imagine we're almost certain to get the drinks break. Danish gets their head on it. Was that a push? Yes, that was. And now the referee will take them off for the hydration break. So when they come back out, Balestier will have a very promising set-piece position to work with. Confirmation, Hougang United 0, Tanjung Pagar United 1 at the Hougang Stadium. And as things stand, that will see Tanjung Pagar picking up their first win of the season. And even though they're bottom of the table, to put it into perspective, after today, if that result stays the same, they'd have played 12 and lost 6. So half the time they've avoided being beaten, despite the consensus they would be the whipping boys. Here's Kiki Krychek with that pass through to Zuzu that was deemed just offside. And I think you have to credit the officials. I think they were spot on. It was a great finish by Zuzu. Just offside for me. You watch at home and tell me what you think. Well, I tell you what, they're ding-dong-doos, aren't they, when Tanjung Pagar United play. Hougang have already equalised through the penalty of Shawal Anwar. Awaiting confirmation of Tanjung Pagar United's goal, but Hougang have levelled it up. Tanjung Pagar United led for less than 90 seconds. Hougang 1, Tanjung Pagar United 1. A point, incidentally, due to a better goal difference than the Young Lions, would also see Tanjung Pagar United climb off the bottom of the table tonight. Of course, we talk about those games next Saturday. Tanjung Pagar United and the Young Lions is next Saturday. So, after the hydration break, Geylang come out to face this set-piece up. One for an import at one end 2 minutes ago. Couldn't make a good set-piece free kick capitalise. It's surely going to be Barry Maguire. Maguire! Oh, what a save from Zeifel. Second world-class save he's made in this first half. And Balestier dodge a bullet there. Zeifel bails them out. And Aravin may be lucky to stay on the pitch. That was perfect, that free kick from Barry Maguire. Hit with venom, placed perfectly. But Zeifel over to save it well. Referee Zulfikar just wanting to have a chat with Zuzu, I think, who's out defending this set piece. And this, if I'm right in saying, is their first corner Geylang, they scored their first goal against Hougang a week ago today from a corner, from a Barry Maguire header. Comes to Ichikawa, heads it back across the face, Zikos Chua, keeper comes, gets there and gets enough on it. He's having some game early on, Zeifel here. Maguire. It'll come to Gay Samir now. Can Balestier utilise that quick counter? Not with passes like that. Oh, Maguire, shoulder to shoulder. And manages to keep the ball in play up against Hazwan, who recovers well and sets Balestier on their way for a counter. But Zuzu can't afford to give Ichikawa a 5-metre head start. And the danger has gone. Well, a few talking points here now. Fine goalkeeping from Zeifel. Red card decision that went in Balestier's favour. They're offside here, that won't count. So we've had 2 goals disallowed as well. Karanizm at one end and Zuzu at the other. Marko Kravic looks on. I'm sure he breathed a huge sigh of relief when the card that came out of referee Zulfikar's pocket was yellow. Just again offside. And I tell you something, you know, there'll all be people watching this going on about the red card, and there's been a couple of, you know, decisions that were probably wrong throughout the course of the season. But one element you have to be impressed with so far, the assistant referees and how they get these offside calls spot on. It's not an easy craft, that getting that pinpoint moment when the ball is played and then getting that line right. And I think by and large the offside decision making from the assistant refereeing pool has been brilliant here this season. Kiki Krajcik, that's a very good improvised ball over the top and they could still be in business. Zulfaimi gets it to Hazwan, who in turn gets it to Zuzu, whose pass goes astray and he was in an offside position anyway. So just like that, 5 minutes to half time, we're still goalless here. (1-1) at Hougang Stadium between Hougang United and Tanjung Pagar United. That ball through looking for Barry Maguire. Comes to Hazwan, he's over the top. Ichikawa, at the moment, I think he's just keeping Zuzu in a bit of a pocket here. They're clearly playing with Hoshino in a deep lying midfield role, almost like they're just playing Zuzu up top on his own. The 4-5-1 formation. As ever, those formations go out the window a lot of the time, depending on the circumstances of the game, as Arish Kumar gets a touch. Danish. Kay Samir. Straight to Adam Hakeem. Zuzu fouls him in trying to win the ball. Can't have any complaints there. Looking for Darren Tay, but it's the man that may be lucky to be on the pitch who picks it up. Hara Ravin, Ichikawa. Sharin. Maguire. Well, one in the air. Strong hustle from Hara Ravin. Well, you wouldn't want to pick a winner with this one right now, would you? Balestier started strong. Geylang have definitely come back into it, and Balestier arguably lucky to still have 11 on the park. Barry Maguire. Darren Tay not going to get there, and it's bashed away by Arish Kumar. Zulfaimi could be in business here. Adam Hakeem does well. 2 evenly matched sides, and you'd have to say, when you look at the league table and see there's just 3 points between them, probably just about right. Balestier obviously in a rotten run of form. They're definitely missing Bruno. That's over the top. It was initially, I think, meant for Krajcik, then Hazwan. But Barry Maguire, who as ever is putting in the hard yards and plenty of work rate, gets there first. Maguire with a firm header. Looking for Zikos Chua. They're going for those flick-ons all the time with those aerial balls. I think Zikos Chua and Karanizm need to start working in tandem for one player to try and run onto these flick-ons. Marko Kravic is looking a little bit concerned as well. He might, because Geylang have come back into this, and it was Balestier that were by far the better team through the opening 20 minutes. 2.5 to the break. Still, Balestier 0, Geylang International 0. Gay Samir, Hoshino. To Samir. Ichikawa. Picked up by Umar Akbar. He wins a free kick. Marko Kravic fuming, really fuming. And I think he'll be disappointed. He probably felt his team had done enough to take the lead through the opening 25 minutes. Now, having not done so, they're having to soak up some pressure. Will this hold up for Darren Tay? No, it just skids off the surface on that second bounce. And it's behind for a goal kick. So it's looking increasingly like a goalless first half here. And that makes me go to my history book to tell you the last time these two teams were involved in a goalless draw. It was 4 years ago, well, 4.5 years ago, really. And the last time they were involved in a goalless draw when Balestier Khalsa with the home side was 8 years ago. It's a fixture that's been associated with plenty of goals of late. Last season there was a 3-0 win for Balestier, a 5-0 win for Geylang, then that incredible 4-3 win for Geylang with the 2 injury time goals. And then earlier this season it was 1-0 Geylang at half-time. Balestier threw out the blocks in the second half, built up a 3-1 lead, and Maguire's late goal was only a consolation. Here is Maguire. Maguire does really well up against Krajcek. Lovely work from Maguire in bog-like conditions over on that near side. And Maguire now picks a fine pass as well. This will be some goal if it goes in. Straight at Zyver, who's looking tough to beat tonight. But Barry Maguire, marvellous work to get the space and find the cross. And Marko Kravic continues to not be happy. We are going to play 2 minutes of additional time at the end of this first half. Can we have a goal just before the break? Hoshino playing the ball into some space. Out to Gay Samir. Options off the bench are plenty for Geylang, with Amy Recker, who's been a scoring substitute lately in that 2-0 win against Hougang. Faris Farhanik, Balestia's got a brace this season. And Van Heusen, who struggled to nail down a starting spot post-COVID. Azumar Akbar, his green and white shirt must be filthy. He's been on the deck about half a dozen times in this opening stanza. Umar Akbar gets it back to Hyrule, to Ichikawa. Trying to play it out neatly and doing a decent job if it comes to Sharin. Barry Maguire, that's going to be picked up by a red shirt. It's well worked by Ahmed Shahir. But they come again, Geylang. Harith Kanadi. Oh, runs into Gay Samir and win a free kick. Well, he's one of the slightest players on the pitch, Harith Kanadi, and bashed into Gay Samir, who just stood his ground, but you see those fouls given in the modern game. You certainly wouldn't have in the good old days. So, they've looked dangerous from set pieces. They've got Barry Maguire to get his head on the end of what I'm sure will be another effective Darren Tay delivery. Adam Hakeem's up as well. He's got plenty of height. And that's a great cross. Headed in, and again, Karwan Islam's header straight into the grateful hands of Zyful. Well, they've had plenty of attempts on target now, have Geylang International. 3 on target compared to 2 to Balestier Khalsa. And one interesting stat, so far, I make it no shots off target. So 5 shots on goal, 2 for Balestier, 3 for Geylang, all been on target. Here's Hoshino. This will just take us to half-time if they can clear this from Zulfaimi. Don't want to be conceding the corner here, and they won't, and that will bring about half-time. Referee Zulfikar just waiting, I'm sure, for the ball to get out of Geylang territory, but he's still playing on here. We're over the 2 minutes. Is a minimum of 2 minutes, in fairness. Adam Hakeem. But that will do it. Well, the first half, no goals, a couple of big talking points. A goal for either side, correctly, in my opinion, chalked out for offside. Zuzu for Balestier, and then Barry Maguire for Geylang. But the big talking point coming when Barry Maguire was rugby tackled down by Ara Ravid, and it was only a yellow card when it looked like, bearing in mind the challenge was outside the box and no penalty could be awarded, a red card was coming. Half-time here, Balestier Khalsa 0, Geylang International 0. We'll update you with the half-time score at Hougang when we come back in just a couple of moments. Stay with us. We are back live at the Bishan Stadium. Goalless at the break between Balestier, Khalsa and Geylang International. The people in those apartments have the best view in the house. Second best view after you watching at home live on Singtel Star Hub, the AIA Singapore Premier League social media channels and One Play Sports. This was a chance early on for Kiki Krajcek. Well saved in the end by Hyrule. Balestier had the better of it early, there's no question about that. But Geylang came strong in the second half as the floodlights are turned on here. That ball came up to Hazwan, who had time to pick a pass. Look at this from Zuzu. Through the legs of Firdaus Kazman. And a decent attempt, both keepers on top in this first half. Good save again by Hyrule. This was the big talking point from a Balestier perspective. Kiki Krajcek, through ball, flag up, offside, didn't count, despite Zuzu's excellent finish. Now, as the first half wore on, they got into it, Geylang International. Barry Maguire seeing that effort well saved by Zypher. That was one of a couple of cracking saves he'd make from the Dutchman. One from a free kick that was absolutely sensational. I do hope we get a chance to see that controversial, well, it was like a rugby tackle, wasn't it? That didn't in the end lead to a red card. Good save, one-handed from Zypher there. Well, we're not going to see the incident. We are going to see the free kick that resulted from it. And Barry Maguire's fine free kick. Saved well again by Zypher. Save that. Arm away from danger as well. So that's the state of play at the break here. I can tell you it's still 1-1 at Hougang as we look at the tail of the tape. Just the one shot off target in the entire match, so the shooting accuracy is good, but the goalkeepers have been even better. And one yellow card apiece are arriving for that incident that led to the Barry Maguire free kick just before half-time, and Yuki Ichikawa. So two defenders in the book inside 45 minutes. That could make for an interesting second stanza. Just to tell you what's happening over at the Hougang Stadium. Confirmation, Hougang 1, Tanjung Pagar United 1. Farkan giving the Jaguars the lead midway through the half, but just seconds later, Shawal Anwar equalising from the penalty spot. So it's a draw at half-time at Hougang, and it's goalless here at half-time at Bishan. I bet there'll be goals tomorrow, though. Albrechts Nagata, Tampines Rovers. Third last game for both of them, a potential title decider. Tampines know if they win, they go top. And as it stands, with Tampines still to play, Albrechts and the Lion City Sailors, their fate is firmly in their hands. They play the Sailors on Wednesday. Before that, the Sailors are also going to Geelong. While Tampines are going to Geelong East, the Sailors go to Geelong West to take on the Young Lions, who by tomorrow may well be back to the bottom of the AIA Singapore Premier League standings. There's then a quadruple header on Wednesday before another quadruple header this time next week to crown our champions and designate the AFC spots for next season. But there's a long way to go between now and next Saturday, including the second 45 minutes from here. Stay with us. We'll be back live from Bishan for the second half of Balestier Geylang next. Back live at Bishan. Teams yet to emerge for the second half here. Goalless at the break. 1-1 at Geylang. Geylang 1, Tanjung Pagar United 1. A point would be enough to lift Tanjung Pagar United off the bottom of the table tonight. But of course, they'd have played one more than the Young Lions. The good news for Tanjung Pagar United is the Young Lions are playing the Lion City Sailors tonight. It's the Lion Derby tomorrow. I just realised that. So tomorrow it's Tampines at Albrechts. The Sailors are at the Young Lions, Geelong East and Geelong West respectively. That concludes the Matchday 12 programme. Then the penultimate round, Matchday 13, is on Wednesday. And that will see Albrechts entertaining Tanjung Pagar United, Geylang entertaining Balestier, the Sailors entertaining Tampines back here, and the Young Lions playing Geylang. And then we move forward to the final showdown. Showdown Saturday, the 4 games that will potentially decide it all. Geylang against Albrechts, the Sailors against Balestier, Khalsa here. My word, this pitch is seeing a lot of action over the last couple of weeks. Tampines and Geylang and an Eastern derby to bring their season curtain down, and Tanjung Pagar United in the wooden spoon derby against the Young Lions. Very likely that that game will determine who does and doesn't finish bottom of the pile. You are watching the AIA Singapore Premier League. A warm welcome wherever you're watching in the world as Marko Krajovic starts to lead Balestier Khalsa back out onto the pitch. Hope you're staying safe and well. Congratulations to the FAS and the Singapore Premier League for working so hard to bring football back. It's been worth it. It's been an enthralling season, and it looks like it's going to go down to the wire. A unique Singapore Premier League season, a season like no other, but we're back, we're in business, and we have seen some twists and turns with potentially plenty more still to come. These pitches being broadcast live on Singtel and StarHub across Singapore, around the world on the AIA Singapore Premier League social media channels, One Play Sports as well as our associated international partners. And I do hope if you're watching from abroad that we can give you a goal in the second stanza. I suppose Ara Ravin was the story in the first half, wasn't he? Because he was told to go and change his tights because they didn't match the colours of the shorts. He managed to do that in record time. It was as if he was Superman going into a phone box. He darted in and out the dressing room in seconds. And then just before half-time, that coming together, just to correct myself there, it was Kyron Nizam he brought down, not Barry Maguire. It was Barry Maguire that took the resulting free kick and he escaped with just a yellow when a red did seem more than plausible. So it's still 11 against 11. I'm told there is a change on the way as well. Amy Reka, who came on as a half-time substitute and scored the second goal for Geylang in the 2-0 win against Geylang. He is going to be replacing Zikos Chua. So Amy Reka is on. There are our match officials. Referee today, Mr. Zulfikar Mustafa, assisted by Jay Ashok Raj and Ruthran Raj. Assistant referees have done great work in that first half with a couple of very close offside calls that, in my opinion, they got spot on. There is Amy Reka with that left hand bandaged. He's about to come on. No sign of life from the bench of Balestier Khalsa just yet. They have far fewer options. Obviously, they've got injury problems. They've even got young 19-year-old Ryan Selvin on the bench today, and he's never featured and played any minutes in the Singapore Premier League. Getting international, well, Amy Retcher's got 1 goal this season. Faris Farhan got 1. Iqbal Hussain's also on the bench. He's got 2. And Chris Van Heusen. So if it comes down to a war of attrition with who's got the more options off the bench with some fresh legs, you'd have to fancy Geylang in this second stanza. We shall see. Here is the official introduction of Amy Reka for Zikos Chua, who was given a rare start this afternoon and huffed and puffed, but it didn't quite happen for him. So Reka is on. So last minute huddles and we'll be good to go. Last goal of straw these two teams played out over 4.5 years ago. Going back to 2009. 3 goal of straws in the Singapore Premier League, and I don't think anyone expected a 0-0 because the last 4 games these teams have played together, 20 goals, averaging 5 goals a game. Or 4, I should say. Goodness gracious, my maths is terrible. Second half about to get underway. Zuzu. It's a kick-off for Balestier Khalsa in the red, playing from left to right. Geylang International in the green and white, playing from right to left. Awaiting kick-off for the second half at Geylang as well. 1-1 there at the break. A point enough, remember, to take Tangier Bagar off the bottom, but they're looking for their first win of the season. The very definition of Route 1 straight from the kick-off from Balestier. Adam Akeem will try and play it out from the back. Gets it back to Hyrule. Had a bit of work to do there. Samir, and he fixed it onto a green shirt. And now Harith Kanadi could be in business. Harith Kanadi with Karenism ahead of him. Amy Recker on the overlap down the left-hand side. That's a wonderful pass. Very nearly tip-top. Amy Recker just beaten to it in the end by the scrambling Ara Ravin, but 10 out of 10 for Harith Kanadi's inventiveness there. That reverse pass very nearly caught them out. Now, who's that warming up quite vigorously behind the goal? Looks like he might be about to be introduced. Was that Faris Farhan or Chris Van Heusen? Chris Van Heusen, I think it was. Yeah, that's Chris Van Heusen warming up behind the goal. Zulfaimi. And he's warming up like a player that's about to come on, isn't he? There's different types of warm-ups for substitutes. The lackadaisical down the touchline, the casual stretching and the occasional glance up to see what's happening. And there's what Chris Van Heusen is doing, which is preparing, I think, to play a part in this sooner rather than later. Gay Samir. Well met by Geylang, and they get the flick on as well, and Amy Recker could be in business down the left, but Hoshino drops deep, and after quite a lengthy advantage, they come back from the free kick. Second half not yet underway. Just underway now, I think, at Geylang. Between Geylang and Tangier Bagar United. Indeed it is. Just started that second half, 1-0 there. So, will Zeifel have another save to make here? His goalkeeping was top drawer in the first half. Darren Tay's going to deliver this. Barry Maguire or Ichikawa will be the targets, I fancy. And Barry Maguire's close to this. They just get ahead to it in time. Not sure what the intention there was from Zulfaimi, but he's given it straight back to Darren Tay. Nice twisting and turning from Ferdhouse. Options down the left, and Amy Recker's in some space to find a cross here. Delivery is good. Maguire's up. Across the face of goal, looking for Adam Akeem, and they're out of position, so if they can break quickly here, Balestier, Geylang could be in some bother. Doesn't look fully fit, Zuzu, does he? He's not running at his top pace, but there's nothing wrong with the burst of speed there. Zuzu, Krajcek, 1-0, Balestier Khalsa. Marko Krajovic loves that goal, and with good reason. And for all Norali was talking pre-match about being wary of the Balestier counter-attack, they've fallen victim to it there, and how. Stunning goal. Zuzu, well, I take back what I said about him not looking fully fit. That burst of speed, the pullback, and the finish from Kiki Krajcek for his third of the season gave Hyrule absolutely no chance. And just as they did at OTH a couple of weeks ago, they've come out in this second half firing the Tigers. It's Balestier Khalsa 1, Geylang International 0. And I think Kiki Krajcek enjoyed that, don't you? Dream start to the second half for Balestier Khalsa. It took them an hour to equalise when they were 1 down after half-time in the fixture that was played at our Tampines hub at the end of October. It only took them 3 minutes to break the deadlock here. Scoreboard in the stadium still says 0-0, but I can assure you our score bug in the top left-hand corner of the screen is correct. It is Balestier Khalsa 1, Geylang International 0. A fine goal. Zuzu and Krajcek teaming up brilliantly. And Noor Ali knew all about the threat of that counter-attack, and they've been caught out by it. Headed back towards his own goal by Ahmed Shahir. I'm told Adam Hakeem is about to be replaced by Chris Van Heusen, and that is a change with an attacking slant in mind. They might come on with them being 2 down. Oh, keeps possession well initially, but ends up losing it. Zulfaimi. Maguire plays it short, looking for Khaira Nizam, who stands up well under pressure. Left-hand side, Maguire. Geylang, no nonsense. Belting it out. So the change is coming. Van Heusen for Adam Hakeem. Van Heusen, whose 2 goals this season came in 1 game, that bizarre game before COVID arrived. And he scored those 2 long-range speculative efforts that somehow got the better of the goalkeeper. I think, on balance in the first half of the first half, Balestier deserved to be in front, but Geylang themselves will be a little bit annoyed, I'm sure, that Balestier is still playing with 11. Meanwhile, Zuzu's at it again. All of a sudden, he's bursting clear with this pace that looked like it was lacking in the first half when he was trying to get the better of Ichikawa and co. Khaira Nizam. Hoshino. Hoshino over the top, and it's going to find its target here. Zulfaimi could be in business. Zulfaimi in the area, and he played the ball, and he had to. Otherwise, that was definitely a penalty. A world-class tackle there, probably the tackle of the game so far by Harith Kanadi. Worth a replay, that tackle, because he was in business, Zulfaimi. Over to take the corner is Hazwan. A second goal here, and is there any way back for Geylang? And talk about this league title race and the other races for AFC places having twists and turns as it stands in the league table. Geylang International and Balestier Khalsa are locked together on 16 points, with Balestier ahead of them by virtue of goals scored, as that was an opportunity for Arish Kumar and went over the bar. As it stands, the league table sees Geylang International drop to 5th. Balestier would be played 12, won 4, goals for 23, goal difference -5. And of course, Geylang International's goal difference would drop down to -4 anyway, but Balestier Khalsa have scored now 4 goals more this season than Geylang International. And of course, this battle for 4th is barring, well, I think it is now, it's not barring a miraculous collapse, it is for the AFC Cup place that is not taken by one of Tampines Rovers or Lion City Sailors, one of whom will be booking a ticket to the big party of the AFC Champions League. Here's Barry Maguire. A lot of football left in this game you fancy yet. Now Chris Van Heusen, fresh legs, up against Geylang. This is a different kind of challenge for Geylang. Does he pass it? Van Heusen gets the cross in, headed up by Danish. The keeper's got to come and gather this and does well. Zeifel is having a really good game here today. The rule was tricky, particularly bearing in mind he took it into his chest rather than going high. Krajcek. But the action to that goal from Krajcek and Zuzu suggests to me that they want more. Krajcek to Hoshino. Along the line by Amin Shahir. Oh, nice work from Krajcek. He's played in Hazwan. Zuzu waits in the middle. Hazwan drove in. I thought for a minute he was going to try and go for goal himself. He had Zulfaimi and Zuzu as an option. They get the second prize of yet another corner. Hougang United take the lead in their game against the Jaguars. Hougang United have come from behind to lead the Jaguars. Hougang United 2, Tanjung Pagar United 1. If it stays like that, Tanjung Pagar United will be bottom of the table. 1 point behind the Young Lions that have got a game in hand tomorrow, with only 2 games to go after today for Tanjung Pagar. Hazwan over to take yet another corner for Balestier Khalsa, and there have been plenty of those. This is their 5th compared to just 1 for Geylang. Danish fancies getting on the end of this, having scored that goal in the 2-2 draw against Tanjung Pagar. He wants another, won't get a chance this time though. Hooked back in, and hooked back in harmlessly with players coming back from offside positions. And Zaplin with the goal. that has put Hougang in front in that come-from-behind effort if they can hang on. Kiki Krychek's goal after 48 minutes here after a marvellous counter involving him and Zuzu. The difference between the two teams. Barry Maguire. Played along by Umar Akbar. Darren Tay. Crossed in. And Khairul Nizam was in space there. He found himself in between two defenders. The pass was perfect. He almost had enough time to bring that down and strike it. Poor kick from Zeifel. His confirmation and Zaplin, the goal scorer for Hougang. A big win that for them, bearing in mind the disarray behind the scenes with Charlie Muckle and Zach Anderson departing. Harith Kanadi. Ichikawa through the middle and straight to Kiki Krychek. That is never a good idea. Krychek holds it up well. He's got Hoshino in support. He shuns him though. And it was the easier pass, and Ferdaus tries to bring it away. He's running into trouble there, and he cleverly won the free kick, Umar Akbar. Knew exactly what he was doing. Initial pass blocked. They get it to Maguire. Maguire to Darren Tay. Oh, Darren Tay, that's a clever lofted pass that's found Barry Maguire. He lofts it again into the area, looking for Van Heusen. And Danish and Samir getting in a bit of a muddle, and Van Heusen, if he was alert and expected that, he might well have capitalised. Watch this. Barry Maguire looked like a harmless enough ball into the penalty area, but they both left it for each other, and Van Heusen had an opportunity to take full advantage. He didn't expect it to come to him. Criminal, really. Zuzu. He's saying chest. Referee Zulfikar says hand. Ichikawa. Sharin. That's a dangerous pass by Darren Tay, and Krychek and Zuzu are on this, and that was an important interjection from Yuichi Ichikawa. Geylang starting to look devoid of confidence in a similar way to which they performed in the second half against Balestier at the end of October. And of course the second half didn't do them any favours. They were very frail looking in the last 20 minutes against the Lion City Sailors, albeit against a star-studded outfit. The second goal here for Balestier Khalsa, and you fancy it's curtains for Geylang International. And the race for the next AFC Cup slot will be back on. A win for Balestier Khalsa. Just to remind you, we'll see them go second, and the snapshot spilled and it's gone in! Well, that could be the goal that kills the game off, and Khairul's had a howler. He has to stop that. As they all gather around the photographer, the long throw, the poor defensive header away to the edge of the area. And Khairul, well, that's the very definition of a howler. Not that Haswan Halim minds. He scored his third of the season. And I mentioned Chris Van Heusen's 2 goals being as a result earlier in the season of 2 goalkeeping howlers against Hougang. That is not one that Khairul will look back on fondly. Made even worse, of course, by the fact that, to be fair, he's made some decent saves in this game before, but Zeifel's having a stormer for Balestier Khalsa in their goal. Balestier Khalsa lead 2-0. And we're just over half an hour to go, and the way this game is swinging, if you were going to pick another goal to go in, I'd fancy it would be by the Tigers and not Geylang, the Eagles. And Balestier Khalsa are looking set for their first win in 6. And it just goes to show how decent their form was earlier in the season, that a first win in 6 is still potentially going to put them in possession with 2 games to go of an AFC Cup berth. And I wonder if Marco sees that, whether Bruno Entevevic maybe brought back a little bit earlier than was planned. I think the plan was for him to sit out the season, but boy, with him in their ranks, they're even more threatening. Here's Sharin. If they're going to get back into this Geylang, they simply have to score the next goal. Kiki Krycek in with Barry Maguire, the 2 number 8s battling it out. Ishikawa. Sharin. Barry Maguire with the calm chest to get it to Darren Tay. Here's Umar Akbar. Options off the bench for Geylang did include Iqbal Hussain and Faris Farhan. Zafar Al-Sulaiman on the bench for them as well. So they've got a tidy old bench, Geylang. They've already used 2 of the changes with Amy Recker and Chris Van Heusen coming on. And now they're going to pull the Iqbal Hussain card. Iqbal with 2 goals this season, the enigmatic number 14. He got himself in a couple of good positions against the Sailors on Wednesday night, but just the second touch a little bit too heavy let him down. But on his day, he can be mercurial. Can he turn this game on its head? Amy Recker can't get there before Ahmed Shahir, who belts that out for a throw. Barry Maguire. Oh, that's a nice touch. Well worked by Iqbal Hussain. Needs support now, though, Iqbal. And 1 trick too many and plays it out for a throw. Nice turn by Krycek. Pass went astray though, Ichikawa was onto it. Well brought down by Ferdhouse. Balestier, who playing almost in a midfield role here, behind Kara Nizam and Amy Recker. Over the top. Doesn't find Kara Nizam and doesn't reach Chris Van Heusen. Balestier Khalsa, counter-attack on again here. Look at Zuzu down the right-hand side. Ishikawa, well, he bounces off Zuzu, and Zulfaimi just can't get there before Zaiful comes to, or Hyrule, I should say, apologies, comes to claim. Into the final half an hour we are trotting then. We've played 17 minutes of this second half. There'll be a hydration break midway through each half. Danish. Zulfaimi finds Hoshino. Interesting role that Hoshino's been occupying today. Offside over on that far side is the scorer of the second goal, Hazwan. Ichikawa. Kennedy. Iqbal playing extremely deep here. He's looking keen to get involved in the game as Geysamir sends it out for another throw. Back to Ichikawa. Tries to spray a pass to the opposite end of the field and does just that, where he finds Darren Tay. Darren Tay with ball at feet. Watched like a hawk and blocked well by Ahmed Shahir. And just to update you what's happening at the Hougang Stadium, still Hougang 2, Tanjung Pagar United 1 there. Here, Balestier Khalsa 2, getting international 0. 48th minute goal by Kiki Krycek, an absolute beauty on the counter-attack. And just before the hour mark, that's when Helen making it 2 after a goalkeeping howler. Danish has got to be careful here. Fresh air shot, Geysamir bails him out, but Chris Van Heusen piles the pressure immediately back on. Kennedy gets it to Ferdhouse. This is promising, might come to Iqbal, but more no-nonsense defending. My word, he put his boot through that. Hyrule. And still, Mario Krajovic not going to his bench, which is interesting. He's not blessed with an abundance of experience on that bench today with the injuries and other issues they have. I mentioned the 19-year-old Ryan Selvan, who's never featured. Yo Hai-Nyi, I suppose, is someone you could call upon with quite a fair amount of confidence to shore out the midfield. Jeffrey Tahar's an option in defence. Kartik Raj, Keshav Kumar has featured this season heavily. Puvan Raj, the other youngster. As you see those shots, 7-5. But the last two that Balestier have had, they found the back of the net. Samir as well eventually. It's a little bit too neat and tidy. To try and maybe play themselves out of their own half with a bit more urgency, because Geylang don't look bomb-proof here, and a third goal would really kill the game off. Kiki Krajicek's away at the races again. He spots Hyrule off his line. And that would have just rubbed salt into Hyrule's already gaping wound after that second goal. They had numbers forward there as well, so there was options left and right, but bearing in mind the keeper might be having a crisis of confidence after that goal. I suppose Kiki Krajicek's entitled to take the chance. Barry Maguire, he's not been as influential in the game in the last 10 or 15 minutes after being very influential in the first half. Chris Van Heusen picks this up. Kairon Nizam, edge of the area, goes down, no free kick, and the long-range effort from Amy Recker is high and not so handsome. And what's the free kick here on Kairon Nizam? Should they have got one? Ball played, debatable. At all from Zyfer with the free kick. Just going through Balestier Khalsa season. Kept a clean sheet against Tanjung Pagar United in their first game back post-COVID, and a clean sheet back in March against the Young Lions. That there are only 2 clean sheets so far this season, so a third one would be very welcome. Trying to release Amy down the right-hand side, and again he runs it out of play. A couple of them have been doing that over on that far side. It's so difficult to work yourself out of a tight position when the surface maybe not as even as it sometimes is. Tanjung Pagar United, if there was a Champions Trophy for the pluckiest team in the Singapore Premier League, Tanjung Pagar United would win it. They led early in that one, trailed 2-1, and it's now 2-2. Sanya Prakash has levelled it up, and Tanjung Pagar United, the draw kings of the 2020 AIA Singapore Premier League, are now, just 20-odd minutes away from their 6th draw of the season, with no wins, remember, and a point would be enough to take them off the bottom of the AIA Singapore Premier League tonight. And sounds like there's some game going on at Hougang. Here, Balestier in control. If Geylang are going to get back into this, they need a goal now. Van Heusen, and they are not going to get a goal like that. Marko Krajovic still prowling the corner of his technical area. Can't quite see from my vantage point because for COVID-19 safety reasons, they're all spread out quite sparsely in this Bishan stadium, but I don't think Norali's down outside his dugout. I should think he's fuming about the way this game has gone. Be interesting to hear his thoughts about the red card later. The red card that wasn't, I should say. Headed out by Barry Maguire, but the clock is ticking. Walter. Break will be imminent as well. Gay Samir with the throw. Barry Maguire easily picks that one out. High up in the air. Brought down well by Cairo Nizam, who then proceeds to pass it straight to Shuhei Hoshino. So Fahmy making a run that's not quite picked out. Gay Samir will go over the top to no one in particular. And I think for the next 20 minutes to be entertaining, we do need a Geylang goal. I'm sure if you're a Balestier Khalsa fan, you won't agree with that, but it's becoming a bit like watching Geylang trying to score against the Lion City Sailors in the final half an hour of that game. On Wednesday night, where it looked like they could play for 4 hours and not score a goal. Harith Kennedy with a flick. Van Heusen could get to this. Van Heusen does get to it. Karanizm waits in the middle. Can they draw it back to a green shirt? No, they can't. Well played out from danger by Ara Ravin. And that will be an easy one for Zeifel to gather. Zeifel, my word, he's got some distance on that clearance. Ichikawa's head to it. It will be a throw to Balestier. And we're about to see another change here. Or are we? No, we've seen the water break. Thought as much. 20 minutes to go then. Love to take a look back at the 2 goals, because the first one in particular was a real work of art. The second one, unfortunately, one of those nightmarish goalkeeping blunders. That was the Kiki Krajcek finish for his 3rd of the season after wonderful counter-attacking play by Zuzu down the left, and then the poor defensive header dropped to Haswan Halim, and it was almost as if Hyrule wasn't expecting it to come at him, and he let it slip through his fingers quite literally. That's become the vogue celebration now in the AIA Singapore Premier League, with no fans to celebrate with. They go and celebrate with the photographer as night draws in here in Singapore. Wherever you're watching around the world, hope you're safe and well. Coming up to 7 p.m. local time here in the Lion City State, as we enjoy what for these 2 teams is their 3rd from last game of the season. There'll be an action, both of them, on Wednesday and then next Saturday for Showdown Saturday, where all the places will be decided. And of course, the significance of this result, we started the narrative of this game saying, well, Geylang International need 4 points to be mathematically guaranteed the AFC Cup spot, but maybe a win would just about be enough for them here. Now, all of a sudden, if Balestier go on to get the 3 points, which is looking very likely, Geylang will drop a place down to 5th, and that was something, I must confess, bearing in mind the form Balestier are in, I hadn't really looked upon that much. It was more a question of what Geylang had to do to secure the spot. They've got plenty more on now than they did around about an hour and a half ago. Amy Recker finds Maguire, chests it down, Van Heusen! And I'm not sure whether that was going goalwards, but it was an important deflection nonetheless. Good work by Ara Ravin, who dodged a red card in the first half. And luckily for Balestier, he didn't dodge himself out the way of that fine Van Heusen effort. It's been a while since Geylang have had a corner. Can they make this set piece count? Ichikawa's up for it. Barry Maguire's there as well. Van Heusen to take. Harith Kennedy coming over for the short option, but Van Heusen's delivery punched away well by Zeifel. Here's Darren Tay. Darren Tay tries to find Amy Recker. Might come through to Van Heusen. Very narrow angle to take a shot. And in any event, he was offside. Good chest down that. Tell you something, that was a very important leg stuck out by Ara Ravin. That was hit with venom. And it would certainly have tested Zeifel, who is 16.5 minutes away from just Balestier's 3rd clean sheet all season and their 1st clean sheet against a team in the top half of the table. Flicked on well by Hoshino. That was a lovely flick on. Zulfaimi. Trickery from Zulfaimi, but Van Heusen picks up the pieces, and here's Iqbal Hussain. Iqbal Hussain, oh, he tried to thread it through to Amy Recker, just couldn't find him. The idea was nice. Here's Krajcek, and now Iqbal Hussain will be pinged for the foul. He was snapping away at Kiki Krajcek's heels there. And of course, if you are thinking it's going to go down to the wire, this goal difference could be a factor. I'm convinced one of the spots, whether it's the title, the Champions League place, or the AFC Cup place, I don't know why I've had it in my mind with just such a short season, goal difference will be a factor. So after tonight, with just 2 games left to play, Geylang and Balestier will have the same number of points, but Balestier's goal difference will be -4. Geylang Internationals goes to -7. It's only the top 3 teams that have plus goal differences. Albrecht's +17, Tampines +13, and third place Lion City Sailors have the best goal difference of the lot, +19. They've scored a whopping 34 goals. That's 7 more than the lead leaders, Albrecht's Nagata. Keshav Kumar comes on for Gay Samir just to give some fresh defensive impetus into that back line for Marko Krajovic. Still staying in play, this won't go out. It's curled back in, and what on earth is Hyrule doing? It was the right call in the end, but he ran the risk there. The ball just wouldn't spin in out of play. It was spinning back into play. Barry Maguire. It's all becoming a little bit desperate from Geylang International now as they try and find a way through. They drew a blank on Wednesday. They're drawing a blank here. Hoshino, who's been quiet but effective in that adapted midfield role today. Aswan frustrated with his control there as Arith gets on with the throw. A reminder, when these 2 teams met in this fixture last season at Balestier, Geylang International scored 2 injury time goals to take it out by 4 goals to 3. 7 goals in that game, 6 of them coming in the second half. I don't think we're going to get another 5 here, but don't rule out another twist in the tail just yet. Zeifel. Is there a little tug there from Zuzu? Referee plays on, and Zuzu's got a strike at goal. He's hungry to add to his 3 goals this season. Having worked hard to create the opening, I suppose he's entitled with no real options in front of him just to have a blast. And again, when you see how Hyrule handled that snapshot from Aswan Halim, why not take a long-range punt? Oof, just for a minute, I thought there might be some confusion in the defence there between Ara Ravin and Zeifel. The Balestier keeper has had a very good game. Oof. Just pulled out in time for the foul not to be given, but that's got to be handball. That has to be handball. Well, I wouldn't mind seeing a replay of that if possible. It looked for all the world that Hyrule handled that outside the area. Referee is blowing for offside. Can we have a look at that if possible, that handball situation where they were looking for the foul for Aswan Halim. Now look at this. Well, that touched his hand, I think. I wouldn't mind seeing it again in slow motion. I think that did touch his hand. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, he half punched that, I think. He punched it into his head. Can't be 100% sure, so let's give the referee a break, because even in 2 angles, it wasn't conclusive, but the players were closest to it, and they were certain. Chris Van Heusen's away at the race. He's up against Keshav Kumar. Van Heusen inside. Now Van Heusen can strike him from range. He gives it to Iqbal Hussain, who finds Barry Maguire. 3 green shirts trying to get on the end of a cross that might come, but it's beyond Kaiwan Nizam, and another chance. It goes a-begging. Saying to Barry Maguire, just always had too much mustard on it to reach Kaiwan Nizam. Just like that, we tick round to less than 12 minutes to play. Still 2-2 at the Hougang Stadium. Hougang 2, Tanjong Pagar United 2. They have been a very tough team to beat, and the credit at Tanjong Pagar United to the coaching team there. A very nice group of individuals. You've got the Jaguar Force as well, who do a wonderful job getting behind the team. They were put together at the last minute to make up the numbers almost in the league, and yes, they're in the bottom 2, but they might be off the bottom of the table tonight, and I think a lot of credit has to go to the coaching side led by Nazrin Jelani and Noam Shah. That's an interesting ball through, looking for Sulfaimi. Harith Kanadi gets something to it, but it's come out to Kiki Krajcek. Kiki Krajcek manages to thread it through. Krajcek gets it back to Sulfaimi. Zuzu on the overlap. Zuzu from a narrow angle crosses face of the 6-yard box, and Krychek just not there. And he, despite his best efforts, can't keep it in play. So as things stand, after today's 2 games, Balestier Khalsa will leapfrog Geylang International into 4th. Tanjung Pagar United, if they stay holding on to that point in the 2-2 draw they currently have with Hougang, they will go up to 7th. The Young Lions will drop to the bottom ahead of their game against the Sailors tomorrow night at Jurong West. We'll be there for that. We'll be at Jurong East as well for Albrechts and Tampines, and what many people think could define the title in a very similar way to this game might define the AFC Cup places, because we all went into the game thinking, well, Geylang need 4 points to be certain of the AFC Cup place. In a strange way, it's a similar situation tomorrow. Albrechts with a 2-point lead over Tampines. People assuming, well, Albrechts win and the title's theirs. Of course, Tampines Rovers win. They'll go top tomorrow night. And with just 2 games to play after tomorrow, a Tampines Rovers win, even if the Sailors win also tomorrow, will see them stay 4 points clear of the Sailors and 1 point clear from Albrechts Nagata. The kicker, of course, for Tampines is they've got to play both Albrechts and Lion City Sailors in their final 3 games, finishing off with a game against Geylang, which is a fixture that the Eagles always raise their game for. Zuzu misses out. Van Heusen don't appear to be capable of getting back into this game at the moment, Geylang. Chikawa is over. Haswan's petrol gauge, I don't think, is on full. I think he's actually signalling to the bench, Haswan, that he needs to come off. Saw him signal over Haswan Halim that he needs to come off. He's currently got the goal that's given Balestier the breathing space and the 2-goal cushion. But a lot of these players will remember what happened last season. Kyrwan Nizam doesn't get there. Danish has had a very quiet but effective game at centre-back. Balestier have played well defensively, and now Van Heusen is pinged and he'll pick up a yellow card for dissent for good measure, and he better keep quiet. We've already seen Jordan Webb this month dismissed for dissent. Van Heusen off the bench picks up a yellow card. To be fair, I don't think he did anything wrong there, but you can't show dissent to the referee. I think that's what the free kick was for. Frustrations for Van Heusen. They are going to replace Haswan Halim, by the look of it, with Karthik Raj. Van Heusen in the book, confirmed. So, they haven't won for 5 games. 6th time lucky for Balestier Khalsa, and a big win against the team directly above them in the table is going to see them leapfrog Geylang International tonight. And with just 2 games to go, it'll be Balestier Khalsa, the Tigers, who have had a taste of AFC competition in the past, but it was a long, long time ago. You can see the 4th official in deep conversation with Leonard Coe, the team manager of Geylang. Not happy about that yellow card, I think, our 4th official today. Shout out to Ahmed El Kwasa. Seifel's clearance. Hoshino loses out to Maguire. Van Heusen. Hospital passed to Maguire that, and they were lucky Hoshino didn't come away with it. Maguire holds the ball up well, as he always does. Plays it through the middle. Headed by Kyrwan Nizam. Here's Iqbal Hussain with empty space in front of him. Iqbal Hussain plays it to the right-hand side to Amy Rekha. Amy Rekha now angle, tries to square it for Iqbal, and he can't finish it off. They come again, Darren Tay. A cute back flick that's gone badly wrong because it's fallen to the feet of Zuzu, and they've committed numbers forward here, Geylang. If Zuzu can move this quickly, they could be in business. Oh, look at that from Zuzu. That's exquisite. Exquisite stuff from Zuzu. My oh my, if they score from this, it'll be a worldie. Krychek again. Zulfaimi wants it. Krychek to the edge of the area. Oh, please finish this, Zuzu. Zulfaimi, it'd be a beauty. Oh, Zulfaimi skewed it wide. That would have been one of the goals of the season after marvellous work. Imagine how tired those legs are from Zuzu with 83, nearly 84 minutes on the clock. The ball kept to his feet like there was string tied to his boots. Beat one man, beat Maguire, then got the better of Darren Tate. Left them all standing, played in Kiki Krychek, who I think knew that he wanted Zuzu to try and finish it off. And when he squared it to the giant number 10, he opted to give it to Zulfaimi, probably because he was exhausted after all that work. And only the finish was lacking from what would have been a masterful team goal. With a hint, more than a hint, of individuality about it. Well, Zulfaimi is now not in a good way, and they were about to replace Hazwan Halim. I wonder now if it's Zulfaimi that's going to be replaced. I think the slip had already got into the fourth official. I believe they can change it up until the player is introduced onto the pitch. So that's going to lead to a bit of a rethink. So Karthik Raj is on for Zulfaimi. I think Hazwan's petrol gauge is low. Brian Maguire, hopefully into the area. Oshino left it. Harith Kanadi will get there first. Kanadi got past Krychek, manages to get it to Karan Nizam. Now it's spread wide by Amy Rekka to Darren Tay. Darren Tay back to Ferdhouse. Ferdhouse looking for Van Heusen, and he'll find him. Van Heusen needs to fashion the time and space for the cross. There's a Geylang international player down in agony just past the halfway line, as some of these players now with the schedule are dropping like flies. And the latest one is Ferdhouse Kazman. And that will be a blow if they were to lose Ferdhouse, particularly if it's any kind of injury. Ferdhouse, the latest player to signal he has to come off, so change on the way for Geylang. Only 4 minutes left now, though. Have to think the result at the moment seems beyond any reasonable doubt. Not so at Hougang, where they've been playing a 2-2 scoreline out for quite some time. Here's Van Heusen, decent cross, headed away by Ara Ravin. Oshino, belted clear, and the chase is on, and Kiki Krychek seems to be the only player on the pitch that's left full of energy. He's chasing everything down still. Darren Tay, plenty of Balestier boys back behind the ball to try and clear this. Look at that header from Zuzu. Power, admittedly it goes straight to a Geylang international player and Ferdhouse Kazman, but that's only because there are no Balestier players up there. Iqbal, Darren Tay, lofted in. My oh my, this last 10 minutes has been scrappy. Maguire, he's capable of a moment of magic. Still Maguire, and a with a free kick. And notwithstanding the drama of injury time last season, if they're going to get something from this game, they need to score now. Ferdhouse Kazman, the latest player to depart injured. Some of these squads are going to be down to the bare bones come next Saturday. Zafarul Suleiman on in his stead. What can Amy Rekka do with this? He's going to have to do something. For the left footer, trying to land it on someone's head, I'm assuming, is the best course of action. He's not going to go direct for goal, is he? Oh, yes, he is. With the right foot. But it never looked to be troubling the target. Well, I don't think we're going to get any late drama here. There might be some late drama on the way at Hougang, though. 2-2 that game. They're into the final 4 minutes of that one here. We're ticking around to the final 2 minutes. There'll be plenty of talk about that red card call in the first half, but let's make no bones about it. Balestier, with that decision already in the books, make good value for this win with one really well-worked goal and another goal that came about after the kind of goalkeeping error you just can't afford to make in a context of a game like this. Van Heusen, that's a decent, tempting cross, free header, but just not enough power on it from Amy Rekka. And Balestier survive again. It looks like they are going to get their third clean sheet of the season. Wonderful cross that for Van Heusen. Found Amy Rekka in acres of space. Couldn't direct it goalwards with power. Marko Krajovic is still screaming on the touchline. He doesn't think the points are won. Of course, all eyes now on the fourth official to see how much time will be added on for stoppages. I'm anticipating 4 or 5 minutes because there have been a couple of injuries here. It's hooked over the top. Ichikawa's in an advanced position as they throw caution to the wind. International to try and get a goal to make the last couple of minutes of injury time interesting. Harith Kanadi. Barry Maguire. Back to Sharin. Flicked on. Comes to the edge of the area. Kara Nizam over the bar, and there was an offside call anywhere. There will be 4 minutes of additional time to be added on. Surely not enough for a repeat of the late drama we had in this fixture last season, but we shall see. Over at the Hougang Stadium. I wonder if there's time to find a winner. Are Tanjung Pagar United fated to get their first win of the season after 12 games, or will it be draw number 6? That's astonishing. I'd love to know, again, 14-game season, so it's not really a fair benchmark. Has a team ever drawn 50% of the games they've played in the season before? They're clearly tough to beat, that's for sure. And with the exception of that battering they took at the hands of the Lion City Sailors, they've been competitive in every game I've seen them play, including, of course, draws against Tampines and Albirex Niigata this season. Headed on by Ichikawa, who's now playing almost as an extra attacker. Darren Tay. Cross is headed away, and they're going to be very susceptible to a quick counter Geylang if Balestier want to try and move this ball quickly, but they'll give away another free kick. Van Heusen wants to get on with it quickly. He won't take this one. It'll go to Harith Kennedy. After Amy Recker took the previous one. Heartbreak for Tanjung Pagar United. Hougang United have taken a late lead at the Hougang Stadium. The Cheetahs lead 3-2, and now there's a coming together on the edge of the area. I think just cramp, and they want the stretcher. Hoshino goes into the book. So messing around where they wanted to take the free kick from. Well, I hope this is just cramp. The temptation is just to dismiss it as cramp, bearing in mind the circumstances. I'd hope it was. And once he saw the stretcher had come on, and if he got on it, he would have to go off the field. He jumped back up as if there was nothing wrong with him, so he's only got himself to blame. If you go down killing for time and you get the physio on, you have to go off and then come back on again. So you can see what he was trying to do, but as soon as he saw the stretcher, he jumped up like it was Christmas morning. And Arish Kumar is now going to leave his side defending with 10, and I now think we'll probably get the best part of 5 minutes of time added on. Darren Tay. Some of his crossing has been sensational over the last couple of weeks. He needs to produce a moment of magic here. We're already going to play another minute on top of the 4, I fancy, maybe longer if this goal goes in. Are we going to get a grandstand finish in front of these empty COVID-enforced grandstands at Bishan? Darren Tay with the 2 arms in the air. I've never met anyone that knows what that means when they have the 2 arms in the air. The international sign language for I'm about to cross it. Substitution on the way. They are going to take off Arish Kumar, but I don't think the referee will let this substitution happen before they take the free kick. He won't let them come on, so they will defend this with 10. Yu Hai Ni waits to come on. There's a push in the box, and it's out for a corner. I think they wanted a little bit more, but it was a right melee. And the fact that Barry Maguire's not so vociferous in his complaint suggests it was the right decision. Yu Hai Ni comes on to replace Arish Kumar late. And he'll probably be only on the pitch for 2.5 minutes. And he's got one job here, to head this ball away from danger, because you just can't see Geylang doing twice in 1 minute what they didn't do through 93. Edge of the area! Snapshot just wide. It was not a million miles away. Decent corner. Headed out to the edge of the area. And that shot managed to navigate its way through a sea of players. Just couldn't hit the target, Van Heusen. So, with Tanjung Pagar United now looking likely to lose at Hougang, trailing 3-2 in that game. Ichikawa can't believe that decision as he falls to his knees. Tanjung Pagar United will stay bottom. And of course now it's worth a check, despite Hougang's tribulations with their foreign contingent leaving. They will also move to within a point of Geylang in 5th. So Hougang will stay 6th, Geylang will drop to 5th, Balestier up to 4th, and there will be just 1 point between the 3 of them, chasing, one assumes, one AFC Cup spot. How's that for a stage set for the final 3 games of the season? That's belted away by Zaffarul. The Geylang International goose is cooked now. Any goal they score from here will be a consolation. Looks like it's going to be a third. Balestier Khalsa, clean sheet. They'll stop the rod of 5 games without a win. Chikawa now playing centre forward, but they won't have time. But that was the final whistle. It's an offside decision. As Hougang United had a 4th against Tanjung Pagar United. The Jaguars fading late, 4-2 Hougang in that one, with practically the last kick of the game. Hougang bouncing back to some kind of form after their trials and tribulations of late. And I would imagine we're seconds away from our referee, Zulfikar Mustafa, blowing for full time. He's already added on an extra minute for that injury. And the substitution that followed to Arish Kumar that saw Yu Hai Nyi come on. Headed forward. Kiki Krychek might still get to this Krychek, and he does. He's turned Darren Tay inside out. Iqbal Hussein's chasing. And it's come off Kiki Krychek last. So he looks like he wants to add, just to confirm, that Hougang goal, by the way, disallowed that 4th goal. Apologies for sending you a dummy there. It's finished 3-2 at Hougang, and it's finished 2-1 to Balestier Khalsa here. A well-earned win by the Tigers, who bounced back after a winless run of 5 games. They have scored 2 second-half goals, the first of which you won't see a finer counter-attacking goal anywhere in Asia this week. Marvellous work from Zuzu, teaming up with Kiki Krychek. The second from Haswan Halim was really the fault of Fairul, who led a tame shot, relatively tame shot, slipped through his fingers. The Geylang International players not happy with some of referee Zulfikar's decision, and there was contrary in the first half as well, when Aravin was lucky to escape a red card. But Khalsa, in what could be a defining moment in the race for the second AFC Cup spot, and now above Geylang International, they move into 4th, and they have got a better goal difference than the Eagles as well. Hougang hot on both of their tails, having picked up that win where the final whistle's just gone by 3-2 at Hougang. What play this was from Zuzu. He left the Eagles trailing in their wake, had the foresight to play in Krychek. First time, left foot, bang. Hyrule did not even move. That was 3 minutes after half-time, and Balestier Khalsa sensed the points were theirs for the taking. Zuzu, who looked slightly cumbersome, still strong, but maybe looked like he wasn't fully fit through parts of the first half, found a burst of pace from somewhere to leave the Eagles standing still. And what about that for a finish from Kiki Krychek for his 3rd goal of the season? This was the goal that ultimately sealed the fate of the Eagles. It was a good snapshot from Haswan Halim, but when it's straight at Hyrule and he gathers it initially like that, you can't afford to let it slip through your fingers. And when they went 2-0 down, they never ever looked like getting back in the game. So disappointment for the Eagles, who've lost 3-0 and 2-0 now this week. Balestier Khalsa follow up. For them, a disappointing 2-2 draw against Tanjung Pagar United with a very welcome 3 points, and it puts them right back in the hunt for the AFC Cup places. That man, Marko Krajovic, now, with those smiling boys in red, will fancy his chances of 3 good results to end the season. 2 only now, of course, and a chance to play AFC Cup football next season like Hougang did this. Zuzu to Krychek to extend the lead after marvellous skills from Zuzu. Zulfimir by this point exhausted. He actually would go off injured immediately after that, completely out at his feet. That would have been another sensational goal after Zuzu had beaten 3 Geylang International players to set the chance up. Look at that from Zuzu. Barge Darren Tay and Barry Maguire aside, and that's not easy to do. Found Krychek. Zuzu got it back. I just wish he'd pulled the trigger there, because that would have been some goal. Zulfimir by this point exhausted, headed it wide. As good as it got for Geylang in the second half was this long-range effort from a corner second phase that drifted to the left-hand post of Zaifel. Had an excellent game, particularly in the first half. Zaifel made a couple of great saves, most notably from a Barry Maguire free kick. So, 2 games in the AIA Singapore Premier League tonight, 2 home wins. Balestier Khalsa, well, look at that. Shots on target, 1 more from Geylang, but that really doesn't tell the second half story. 2 yellow cards apiece, and Geylang caught offside far too many times for their liking, and they have to dust themselves off Geylang and get ready now for the challenges that lie ahead. Next up for Geylang on Wednesday, they'll take a trip to Jurong West to face the Young Lions before finishing their campaign next Saturday at OTH with what technically is a home game for both against Tampines Rovers. As for Balestier Khalsa, their remaining fixtures include a trip to Hougang, who've won tonight by 3-2. They trailed early in that game, came back to win to lead 2-1. Tanjung Pagar clawed them back, but a late Hougang United winner sees them take 3 points. And that, of course, means now the race for 4th place. My, oh my, you think it's tight at the top. What about tight in the middle? Balestier Khalsa up to 4th with that win, and their goal difference improves by 3 as well. But interestingly enough, look at Hougang United. They've even still, for all the trials and tribulations they've been through, have a 1 goal better goal difference than Balestier Khalsa. Realistically, Tampines Rovers or Lion City Sailors will get AFC Champions League football. The other will go in the AFC Cup, and that leaves 1 spot left. And you all know that 3-1 doesn't go. Balestier Khalsa, Geylang International, and Hougang all battling it out for an AFC Cup spot. Tanjung Pagar, if they'd have held on for a draw, they'd be off the bottom. But as it stands, they stay bottom of the AIA Singapore Premier League tonight. Big doubleheader for you tomorrow. 5:30 Singapore time. Join us at Jurong East Stadium for table toppers Albirex Nagata against the team they knocked off the top just a couple of weeks ago, Tampines Rovers. It's first against second, and at Jurong West, I'll be there for the Young Lions as they look to pull a shock off against the big boys and the big spenders of the Lion City Sailors in what literally is a Lion derby. We'll sign off from Bishan tonight on an evening where Majko Kravic's men are back to winning ways and, more importantly, now have possession of 4th spot in the AIA Singapore Premier League and within touching distance of AFC Cup football next season. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow for another AIA Singapore Premier League doubleheader.